I recently found a game on itch by the title Hotel Simulator. I'm pretty much a sucker for games with anime characters and related art styles, so I thought I'd give it a shot. I wanted to share my thoughts on this game because I'm a bit conflicted. There is a part of me that really enjoyed this game, even though it was a 10-minute prototype demo. The other part of me is worried for the development of this game. This game is on Steam Greenlight, and I'm afraid the developers might release a game that has a great concept but is executed very poorly. I'd like to expand on my thoughts on what I like and dislike about this game, and hopefully this video may help the developer in some way in the future development of this game. Also, while watching this video, I hope you as a viewer keep in mind that this is a prototype and it's not the final product. I understand that game designers want to show off current projects they have going, and while I think that developers should refine a prototype to the best of their ability, I understand and accept that sometimes it's not possible to do that due to budgets and time constraints and whatnot. Also, a quick disclaimer, I'm not associated with the developers of this game. I'm just really into anime fantasy waifus. So, starting from the beginning, I think it's a bit obvious to state, but this game really needs a title menu. Starting up this game was actually a bit jarring at first and a bit disorienting for me. Unless it's done for an artistic reason that fits in with the game's overall design and themes and motives and whatnot. I would always ask that developers make a start menu, especially if it's for an RPG of some kind. Being able to start a new game, load a previously saved game, and adjust options for computer and in-game settings is always an important feature in games. So one thing I really like is the tone that the game gives off immediately from the player's interactions with Query-chan. By reading the dialogue, you know that the developers are aiming for a comedic fantasy anime theme. On that note, you'll notice that the art style for the characters is conflicting and different for each character presented. There's no consistency. So on this game's Steam Greenlight page, I'll leave a link to the description of the Steam Greenlight page below. The developer stated, in quotes, "Apologies for the art. This is a solo effort using purchased art. I do hope that you play the game and enjoy the decision-making conversations. Better than making a text adventure." But yeah, I've kept this in mind and have written differently and have given unique personalities to some of the stranger characters. This was a response to a few people in the comments who were questioning the art decision of the game, and rightly so in my opinion. I feel that this lack of consistency throughout the game is a bit disorienting and it just makes for a sloppy looking game. My advice would be to find an artist whose art style you think would best fit the game and get them to work on one consistent style for the game. In fact, I would drop the 3D models as well and go for a more consistent and more focused style and theme. I suppose it's easy for me and other people to just say, get an artist, but I realize that it might be more difficult than it sounds. I personally don't know any artists myself that I could even recommend, nor do I even know if the developers have the money to commission an artist full-time to work on the game with them. But I am a bit of a wishful thinker, and I'm sure that if you present your concept and ideas to artists, they would be more than willing to work with you. However, if you're using pre-purchased art assets and that's the direction you want to take the game, I would once again ask for as much consistency as you can. Moving on from art, I think that the characters' personalities are interesting enough. I think that they'll be developed more and written out more as time goes on for the development of this game. As far as the dialogue, I would make sure to check for spelling and grammar. I know that a lot of developers don't know English as their first language, and I'm personally still impressed that they're able to write extensive dialogue well in most notably visual novel games. I want to encourage developers to always go back and check for accurate spelling and grammar. As a player, seeing those little mistakes can just take you out of the game even a little bit. Even if it doesn't ruin the entire experience, I still think it's really nice to just go back and fix those mistakes. I'd like to spend a lot of time now talking about game mechanics. I think the semi-visual novel sort of gameplay fits the game well. I can imagine it will be very easy to manage your hotel and its guests by just clicking the mouse button. Only using the mouse to click certain options keeps the game simple and emphasizes the game on decision making, a focus on management in other words. It would also leave the overall programming of the game mainly focused on elements revolving around decision making code. From what I played in the demo, it seems there will be a calendar system, quite like other RPGs that deal with day and night cycle mechanics. However, I feel that what actions will take up time and what actions will not should be clearly addressed. You should give the player notice before time will pass in order for them to optimally manage their time. If you're going to have time automatically pass, then I feel that you need to keep clear that time is in fact passing in the final version. As for the different times throughout the day, you can script different events to different times of the day. For example, if you talk to one character in the morning, it could be a lot different to what they say in the evening, as a simple example. From this, you can adjust it to the potential calendar system of the game. Certain events could occur at different times of the day and on different days of the in-game weeks or on specific in-game days. I hope that made sense. On the same train of thought, I believe a calendar system would be greatly beneficial for the developers to implement and design. I don't really have much to say about this system, though. It can be a simple or complex system, as long as it ties in with the gameplay well enough. Different games do their calendar systems differently, and it'll be up to the developers to really sit down and focus on how they want to implement it. I think it goes without saying that if you're making a management game, you should have a good time-based system. It's nice to see that choices, in fact, do matter in this game to some extent. When you select an optimal dialogue choice when interacting with hotel guests, they end up paying you more for your excellent service or something along those lines. As the game is developed, I'm sure these choices can be more elaborate as the game continues to be developed. My hope is that each of these characters that stay at your hotel will have a good backstory or personality behind them to make them compelling characters. I think the fact that they're hotel guests, though, ends up creating a situation where you'll have to learn about a character within a certain amount of time, which actually makes for a potentially interesting scenario where you're managing the hotel, but at the same time you're trying to attend and perhaps bond with some of these guests that are staying here. As for the money system, I think the money should be used to upgrade the hotel in a variety of different ways. There's a good concept here for decorating rooms differently and perhaps hints at a system where different guests will prefer a room with certain attributes and characteristics. There's also the management of having to pay off debt incurred by the father character to progress the game, so the variety of things to spend your money on is already a potentially wide variety if the developers can execute those concepts well enough. Now, a big thing I haven't mentioned yet is the developers' claims that they want to add a light dungeon crawling system to the game. While I do think that adding that is an admirable goal, I honestly think that it could be beyond the scope of this game. I think that if you want to focus on the hotel management aspects of the game and refine those concepts, your game will be much better for it. Focusing on those comedy fantasy anime elements in a hotel management game is a reasonable concept already. The systems that you have and intend to have are already reasonable enough goals to work on, develop, and improve. So that concludes my video. I think that this game has a great concept in it, but it still needs a lot more development in general. Again, I'm a bit worried for the developer of this game, to be honest, because this game is on Steam Greenlight, and if it doesn't get voted through or developed properly, it'll be a shame to see such a great concept go to waste. I wish the developer good luck, and I really hope you can turn this game into something really great. I'd like to thank everyone for watching this video. My channel will most likely focus on more constructive criticism-based videos on games and development, as I tend to find I like to talk about game design a lot. If you have any feedback, emphasis on better ideas, or criticism, or anything about this video at all, leave it down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more content.